So, what's up, Metal Wani? This is Dallas here with Nader Sadek from, obviously, Nader Sadek. Here, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's good. So,
I like your introduction. I'm Nader Sadek of Nader Sadek.
Yeah, I mean, in case everybody wasn't clearly aware, or like very aware of who you were at this point, they should be abundantly clear now. Make sure everybody's on the same page before we get going. In case anybody's confused, it is Nader Sadek of Nader Sadek. The one, the only Nader Sadek.
The one and only, yeah.
I'm also just excited because I'm pronouncing it right and not making an ass of myself.
No, you're saying it perfectly, man. That's exactly how it should be said.
Sweet. So, I guess let's just start with the new stuff. I mean, how did all the recordings go?
You mean like the recording process, or how we got to write these songs, or?
Well, let's start. I guess we can start with the writing process. When it comes to what your role in the band and in the album, where do you start at, and what kind of gets you going to kind of come up with these whole album concepts?
Well, I'll start with musically. Basically, the way we do it is, or the way, I do it is, I try to look for certain musicians that I'm confident will bring a certain type of vision to life, and I did that with In the Flesh, and the chemistry between all of the musicians was great, but I felt that Flo and Rune really connected, and that was very important. And so for me, like, the process starts as a puzzle. That's like the very first thing that comes to mind. It's a puzzle, not to, reduce the other artists as puzzle pieces, but it's just a way of almost engineering it, or figuring out who would fit with who, and what I can sort of expect from the sounds that these people are identified with.
That makes sense.
It's like really working a combination, trying to make sure that you're fitting pieces that are correct and that are fitting, and that there's nothing awkward or forced. There are people like who are amazing, but I wouldn't think they're, they would fit. Like, I wouldn't get, like, I don't know, like Marty Friedman, It's like,
yeah,
he's amazing, but is he going to do something that's going to fit the vibe? Like, I personally don't think so,
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, figuring out, and it's also an experiment. Like, I'm not going to totally predict that people will get along or they'll understand each other's visions. But luckily, like, Flo and Rune really, like, they hit it off. And the writing process, as far as the music, was extremely organic, which was completely different from In the Flesh. In the Flesh, each one of us wrote a song, more or less, or two songs, presented it to the others. Maybe there was some slight modifications made in the composition, and then Rune added harmonies, and Flo brought in his own beats. But as far as the guitars, like the written melodies of the composition, they pretty much stayed the same from how it was in demo form. This time, Flo and Rune worked together in a way where Rune would come up with a riff, Flo would play a beat to it, and that would inform Rune what the next riff he should come up with should be like. Because for us, it was very important to make sure that we don't fall into this typical death metal trap of many riffs, many awesome, if there's a lot of bands who, I'm not actually, reducing that either. It works, it's death metal, and people use the technique of writing a lot of riffs, but a lot of times those riffs are unnecessary, redundant, or they just don't fit. And again, like that's a very normal death metal thing, because death metal is chaos, and changing riffs all the time and stuff is chaotic, and that's cool. But we wanted to do something that was very musical, make each riff fit the riff before it and after it. And with that process, it's very inspiring to be working with someone who, for lack of a better word, is, sort of like, playing tennis with you, where like you're throwing the ball to each other, and there's actually it's like a fun game, you know what I mean? Where it's like, and that's how the song was built. And later on, Rune, we record like all the beats. I mean, in demo form, that Flo comes up with, and then Rune that later when he goes home and inspires him to come up with harmonies and maybe do some rearrangement. For this record, musically, as far as like the actual music, I wrote a riff from Deformation by Incision, the first song, and I presented it to them, and they liked it, so they actually took the riff and created an entire song out of it.
Nice.
And that's also different from what we did in the Flesh, because in the Flesh, I actually gave them a necromancy. I mean, it's pretty much played the way I gave it to them in demo form. And then me and Rune collaborated on a song called Petrophilia, where like I gave him some very bad sounding keyboard melodies, but I also kind of like informed some of the structure so he followed it. But this time it's different. Like I did not actually compose a whole song. I just wrote one riff, and then after that, I wrote the lyrics, and I also wrote most of the actual vocal patterns, because that's actually my writing processes. I mean, it was something I was doing for the very first time, so I had to come up with a process that was going to be comfortable. And the way I did that was by figuring out what the pattern that the song is calling for without having any lyrics. So basically, I actually do like a very rough recording, me just going like, in certain parts.
Okay.
So I can map out the composition of the vocals. The vocals also have to have a composition. You can't just freely like sing with the beats and just do your own thing. I mean, you do, but like you have to, there's the structure of the song, and so there has to be a structure of the vocals, and that has to be well thought out. So I do the patterns, and then I go back, listen to those patterns, and write lyrics that would fit in it, and make sure that like if those full scratches were ending with a vowel or a consonant, then I make sure that I use such a word, that expresses the emotion.
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
And so, now when it comes to having even picked the guys you picked, how did you settle on guys like Travis Ryan and Rune Eriksson in the first place, and even Flo? I mean, Flo seems like an easy pick, and actually they all kind of do when you think about it. But how did you actually end up settling on these specific guys?
Well, Flo and Rune I worked well with on In the Flesh, and back then there was like a very specific reason, and it was they're both very precise and almost panic their execution. But there's something that they, and almost only they, to me, do, which is actually they're able, within the brutality, still understand the sense of groove and emotion, you know? And that's very, very rare. I mean, when you go brutal, you're killing the emotion, but somehow both those guys, and that was basically the reason, because I wanted to make something that sounded like a machine that's made out of flesh, like a machine that can be hurt, bleed, and feel pain. That was kind of like the concept of the album, which is related to Petroleum. So again, after we were kind of blown away, like all of us, by how well their chemistry worked, I was like, all right, like I can do anything with those guys. Like, I mean, they can anything they do is going to be like awesome and fitting and atmospheric, dark, brutal, and emotional. You know, so that was the reason for those two guys. Like, another thing that was like very attractive to me from the very beginning of the project is that I'm bringing people from pretty much like different genres of, extreme metal.
Yeah.
There's black metal, then there's like technical Canadian hyper blast death metal, and then there's, whatever you want to call, cattle decapitation, grindcore death metal. And then there's like Martin from Decapitated, which is a different type of death metal. And then there's like Andreas Kisser, who's like thrash. It's like, so what's cool about that is that they're each from a different country, and they're each from a different metal subgenre. Not completely different, but pretty different,
Yeah.
And that makes the sound very cultured. I mean, one of the things that excites me is that, the vocals are more or less death metal, and so it gives it that death metal push. But the music, I think, is a really cultural hybrid of all the extreme metals. I mean, like, there's one song called Carrying Whispers, and for me, that's like a black metal song more than it is death metal, And that, to me, like, that the sound is so cultured was like it was such an attractive thing for me, because it's like listening to all those genres like at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, and obviously it works pretty damn well.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that, and basically, so that was Rune and Flo, and then there's, Travis is, I mean, he's probably like the best death metal vocalist out there right now, and he's awesome. We've been friends for a really long time. Like, I actually met him on a Mayhem tour when Cattle was opening for Mayhem. I was doing stage design for Mayhem.
Right.
And me and him were just like hanging out like every day. Like, I didn't even really hang out with Mayhem. Like, I hung out with Travis. So, we were just like best buds on that tour. So that was awesome. So he actually sings a lot in the flesh. Like, a lot of people don't know that, but he actually does a lot of backing vocals. I mean, he's like pretty much on every song.
Oh.
Yeah, but people don't know that, because the other singer just like, was like the main singer, so he just had like the larger presence. And he also sang most of the album, but Travis did a lot of backing in the flesh, man. Like, he did a lot. It's kind of an unknown fact, even though it's in the credits,
Nobody reads the credits.
And then as far as like Bobby and Andreas, it's like, again, it was like I wanted to bring those different elements. I mean, Symbolic, which is, where people know Bobby. I mean, it's such a unique, sounding album, and Bobby has a lot to do with that as far as like how the solos go. So it was like, a no-brainer. When I knew that I could actually get a hold of him, I got a hold of him right away. yes, I mean, you know, again, it's like this culture thing. It's like, there's like a very strong, you know, I don't want to say like Brazilian, you know, I don't really know what really Brazilian music is like, but like and it's not, you know, I don't think it sounds Brazilian, but there's that emotion, you know, the way he like squeezes and like the whammy bar and like, you know, all these like twists and stuff, and
sure.
and it's like so Andreas Kisser, it's so like old school Sepultura, you know, and I wanted to bring that back because, you know, I feel like, you know, Sepultura, you know, they progress so much and all their stuff is really awesome, but, you know, the old stuff is like that, like old death thrash, like, and he hasn't made any solos like that in you know, since then. Yeah. You know, so like I wanted him to play on something that was like fucking fast and just sick, and you know, and we actually pushed him because our shit is way faster than anything Sepultura has ever done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he actually had to like, you know, step up and, I mean, he actually made a comment that he was like, shit, man, this shit's fast. You know? So that was pretty cool, you know. And then, you know, Martin's like, to me is, I mean, he made Decapitated who they are to me. You know what I mean? Like, the bass in Decapitated was always like the shit. You know, his sound, and you know, even Alex Webster like commented on that. He was like, I mean, this is a quote from Alex Webster. He was like, dude, you know, he was telling me he was really excited that I got Martin because he told me that guy is definitely one of the top 5 bass players in metal, like hands down. He's like, this guy is up there with Steve DiGiorgio, and I was like, man, like, I'm glad you think so too, man. He's like, no, man, this is a fact. Like, it's too bad he's not as known. He should be better known, you know. So
absolutely.
That was awesome, and then, you know, of course, Alex Webster's in there. And I mean, that was awesome too. But he was just a guest, and there's another guy who played bass on it as well. His name is Ali Pinar, and he's in Cryptopsy as well. And he's just like a fucking cool dude who's a badass bass player. So, you know, so I was like, yeah, man, like, would you like to play a song? And I knew he would bring a different vibe in than Martin and Alex, you know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's the reason I also chose different bass players is because bass is so underrated in metal. Like, nobody, I mean, there's just people who don't really respect it. They, you know, like, I think there was like some article on some metal website that was like, does metal even need bass? You know, it's like, fuck yeah, man. Like, if you hear a song, same song with different bass players, you know what I mean? It's gonna be different. And a bass player could actually ruin a song. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or not, you know, not feel its vibe and not, you know, come up with something that benefits the song, you know? But a good bass player is going to make a song, like, a lot better. Like, not just a little better, but, like, a lot better. And, man, Martin's just, like, he's such a badass. He's like, amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he also mixed and mastered the album, so to me, this guy's a genius, you know?
Oh, yeah. And see, as a bassist, that's just one of the other reasons why I love your work, is because there's appreciation for the less appreciated, I guess.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that's like pretty important, and you know, it's not just about, you know, bringing some like famous people together. You know, it's like, it's really like a calculated sound. I mean, I'm always surprised by the final product, but I know that it'll be fucking awesome, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, because those guys are people that I think are awesome. They're like my favorite people, so,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand your choices, especially now, and I would have probably made the same, because, I mean, the lineup is pretty stacked. And it's almost intimidating, but so now kind of moving into the concept. In the Flesh was more based around like the petroleum and the machinery. What's the concept for the new album, Malefic.
The concept in the Flesh was a concept that is always present in all my artworks. For those who don't know, I'm actually a visual artist, and I mean, I'm kind of like a concept guy, and that's like what I like to concentrate on the most, and so. I thought that In the Flesh was going to be like the only thing I was going to do, so I just made it like I made it like a different variation of my other artwork. Mm-hmm. But I figured like now it's kind of really going to the metal realm, and I wanted to do something that was more, for lack of a better word, like, typical, but like something that's dark in a more, fantasy-based type of way, and also something that's like really emotional. I mean, I'm fascinated by petroleum. I find it interesting. I find it engaging, and it's kind of like it's what I work, but I wanted to do something very different this time. I wanted to actually tap into my emotions and really pull out like very personal things that are very personal and painful to me. Mm-hmm. Things that I have problems sort of dealing with, So
sure.
I basically turned my problems into a story, so it's very personal, and there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of stuff that I took from reality and converted it to I can turn a situation in my life, in my personal life, into a setting in this fantasy, that the actual setting is a character that influences events,
Yeah.
And so the story is about a necromancer who lives in a world where God is dead, and the devil basically has resigned from his post or his throne. Since there's no gods, the devil kind of decided to take a hike, I guess. And that kind of left all the souls of the dead to be trapped in this limbic state where they're unable to get to heaven or hell or wherever they're meant to go. And so the necromancer is visited by his beloved, and she asks him to save her and to free them from this place of limbo. And being passionately in love with her and wanting to save her, he embarks on a mission to get to this place where he can reach divine power and free the souls to their rightful places. On his way, he gets corrupted. He basically turns evil, and when he gets to the space, he basically is overcome by the evil, and he basically ends up sending everyone to hell. Chapter 3 is actually about what happens afterwards, and what happens to this character after he sends everyone to hell is that he realizes that he does that, and he starts to live forever, with knowing that, you know, also everyone he's ever loved is like, you know, burning in hell forever as well.
Damn. So.
Yeah. It's a nice little Disney ending, isn't it?
That's amazing, actually. Like, can the next project be Nader Sadek the movie, and we just like make it a full-fledged movie? Because I would watch the shit out of that.
Man, I'd love to make a movie out of that, man. Seriously. I mean, what I'm doing actually with this is I'm drawing a comic book, so, or, you know, sort of like a graphic novel. It's gonna be like a little weird. It's gonna be like every page is gonna be like some lyrics, some narration, and a drawing, you know, and each one is gonna go with a song, you know. So I'm pretty excited about that. The cover for this album is one of those drawings. And that is actually the character, like, once he is, like, enthroned on the, you know, on the devil's, you know, place, you know, he kind of, like, gets this costume and, you know, he turns into this, like, deity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I mean, I would love to have the budget for that.
See, it's like you already got a sound score for the movie, so.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, great part at least.
Yeah, and you already got the storyline down, so we just need somebody out there to get this done, because that would be
really
refreshingly brutal and incredibly awesome. I mean, as an album, it's probably one of the most intense things that I've ever listened to, and so I can only imagine, like, visually how incredibly intense that would be.
Yeah, did you ever get a chance to see, like, some of my older videos, the ones for In the Flesh, and then there was one that was like a re-recorded song?
Yeah, I think so, and if I remember it, I think I saw where's it at? Yeah.
It's called Remechanic, but I mean, those were low budget, man, and I can't really do that anymore. Like, I need a big budget to, like, do things, like, correctly and make them come out exactly as I want them, you know, like, so, you know, I'm just gonna wait this time on making, like, fantasy-based videos, you know. For now, it's gonna be, like, the band is playing and you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, just like the recording video.
Which is really awesome to watch as well, so.
Yeah, that was, the recording video is really cool, too. I like watching those, because I like seeing everybody doing their thing and going nuts.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, I love those videos, too. I don't like it when, like, there's a music video on top, like, like a song, a recorded song, and it's placed on top of a live show.
Yeah.
I cannot stand, man.
Yes.
It's always, like, a huge fail for me.
It seems kind of lazy, actually. It seems almost kind of lazy to me. It's just like...
Yeah, it's like, really, like, that's the best. I mean, if the show was, like, spectacularly, you know, shot and, like, you know, there was actually, like, interesting shit on stage.
Yeah.
You know, that's different, but when it's just, like, dudes jamming in front of a crowd, it's like, well, you know, why don't you just put the audio of the live show, you know, and then I'll enjoy it.
That'd be way cooler, but no, that's too much work. So, well, now, you did a few live shows with the last album. Any plans to do any live type stuff with this one?
Yeah, man, we're playing the Arctic Death Fest in April. Fucking excited about that. It's probably going to be, like, the biggest crowd we've ever played to so far.
Yeah, that'd be a big one.
You know, someone just asked me if we can do another show in New York. So I'm waiting to hear, waiting to hear if that's going to work or not. And, you know, we're just going to, I don't know, just going to wait and see what the offers are, like.
Sure.
But I want to, you know, but the schedule is really messed up, man, because, you know, like, I think, four out of five of the dudes are in big bands, and
Oh, yeah.
those big bands, they do tour, so I have to always, wait for all five of those people to not be busy with their stuff to bring them together. So it's really not easy at all.
Yeah, I believe it.
The tour we did in Europe last summer, that was just, it was a lot of work, and it was only 1 week, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine.
I keep trying.
Yeah, I might actually have to get to Neurotic Death Fest this year, somehow, some way. But I would, if it were up to me, I would be there anyways, without a doubt. But it's never that easy. But so now that everything's finally coming to a head and the album's coming out, where do you go from here? What's next for you guys? Obviously, we got some live shows coming up, but what's next on the books for you? Like, I know you said you wanted to do some videos. Probably gonna wait a little bit until you get a bigger budget, but like.
Yeah, well, actually, man, we've already recorded drums, bass, and guitars for Chapter 2. I wrote lyrics for 2 songs, and I'm working on 2 other songs, and I hope that February, March, Travis is going to record the vocals and probably bring Bobby. Not sure who's the second guy. I don't think I'm going to be using Andreas for this one. I'm not totally sure. I just think that the vibe on this album is totally different, and I think it's going to be someone else,
Sure.
And that's also going to keep it fresh. And so, yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to that. And at the same time, we've already also, for the most part, Rune has written the 3rd EP, Chapter 1.
Geez.
So, we're going to see, how we can jam again and improve them and, make them solid so we can actually go and record them.
Absolutely. So we have at least 2 more EPs to look forward to.
Yeah, there's 2 EPs for each 4 tracks that are written. 4 of them are already recorded, and 4 need to get fixed up and recorded. But they exist, so there's definitely stuff planned for the future.
You guys wasted no time.
I don't know, man. Yeah, we're not now, but I was kind of like, frustrated that, it took 3 years, from In the Flesh, because actually, even before In the Flesh was released, there was songs already being written for the Malefic Chapter 3. So we were working really fast, and then there was like 3 years of like, not much happening, Then we finished that first EP, so that was cool. But I really hope that, the way I want to do it, honestly, is be releasing an EP every year. Almost maybe even 2 EPs a year. Like, that's what I'd really like to do. But, you can't really defy gravity,
Yeah, that is a high bar to set. Like, that's a lot of output, but if you could pull that off, that'd be incredibly impressive. And plus, I'd be stoked.
When I put those dudes together, man, like, it's literally like watching magic unfold. I mean, like, they will actually write a song per day. Like, they are capable of doing that.
They're machines. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just wish I could just just kidnap them for like, you know, an entire month, and you know, we'll have 30 songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be. I'm sure somebody could probably pull that off.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, if you know someone, you know, let them know.
Yeah, this is going out to a lot of people. So, somebody out there, let's work on a plan to kidnap a couple of guys here and get some more tracks recorded.
Yeah.
See, the terrible thing is watch one of them actually turn up getting kidnapped, and then we're gonna feel terrible. But no,
Man, they'll probably enjoy it because you know we'll be throwing like, you know, good food at them and shit.
Oh, there you go. As long as there's good food, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, now, I mean, you obviously have very high-tier musicians here. Is there anybody you haven't been able to get or have wanted, but just it hasn't worked out?
Yeah, man. When we were writing, I really had a very. I mean, I definitely wanted Travis. What was that?
Oh, sorry. We'll edit that out.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'll just restart. So.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, man. There was actually Glenn Benton was going to do some of the vocals with Travis. Like, I wanted them to kind of go back and forth, and like, you know, I wanted to do this sick thing.
That would be
just, like,
nuts.
a bunch of factors, like, DSI started going on tour, and Glenn got busy. Like, he heard the song, and in the beginning he was like, yeah, man, I'll do it, and then later he was like, look, man, I'm just really busy, and like, you know, I'm just really busy with DSI right now, and I really can't. So I was like, cool, and you know, and then I realized, like, you know, after what, you know, Travis did everything by himself, it was, I never had a doubt about that, but you know, it felt later that having another guy who has, you know, more or less a similar style, you know, may have not really shown up, you know.
Sure.
Because they're the same patterns anyway. Like I wrote. So, you know, I mean, and Travis is just amazing. I mean, his range is like insane. So.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the only guy who I emailed and was like super serious about having him. But that was it. You know.
Yeah. Anybody you have your eyes on for the next couple records?
I was thinking of having like Chris from Cryptopsy do some solos with Bobby, but other than that, maybe have like a very traditional. I mean, I really don't know. It's like I'm still writing the lyrics, so I'm still trying to, you know, kind of get the vibe. But I was thinking it could be cool to have like a very like authentic black metal singer doing backups with Travis. You know,
Ooh, that'd be cool.
And I think if like someone's like an actual black metal vocalist, you know, not just like death metal vocalist doing like highs, you know.
Yeah.
I think that'll bring like a kind of like a sicker, you know, just like a different atmosphere, you know. And again, like I'm very interested in that, like hybrid, you know, like you know, you hear a lot of like death black, or you know, death black metal or black death metal, whatever you want to call it. And usually the way that works, it's like, you know, there's a death metal riff and there's like death metal vocals, and then like it switches to a black metal riff. You know, and what I think Rune and Flo are doing here is not that. What they're doing is, you know, is actually creating a sound that is both simultaneously. You know, like you can't really pinpoint like, oh, that's like a black metal riff. That's like the, you know, it's more like the vibe. You know, like technically, yeah, you can call the music death metal, but the atmosphere and the vibe that comes out to me is black metal.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's like very relative and can be argued, you know.
Yeah.
But that's just like my interpretation of it, and you know, something that I was hungry to, you know, achieve or have, you know, produced in that manner.
Yeah, I think you nailed it pretty much on the head. I mean, it...
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
So, let's see. Yeah, so when it comes to choosing the name, why did you end up going with Nader Sadek out of everything you had to potentially go with?
Well, actually, I mean, the way the project started, it was like just another piece of my art. Like, I do different things. I do sculpture, drawing, videos, you know, pretty much like everything except paint. I draw with a pencil, though. So when In the Flesh was released, it was another artwork. But then, like, we just noticed that we all wanted to work together again. And we've toyed with the idea of creating a name, and then I was really just kind of thinking, like, actually, like, what my name means, and that, like, I kind of have always kind of wanted to live up to, like, my name, you know, and Nader Sadek actually means something along the lines of unique or rare friend or unique, you know, trustworthy person, and you know, it doesn't sound very metal, right? Actually, the reason that it actually is, you know, when I was a kid, whatever, like, I listened to Guns N' Roses and shit, whatever, and then I had, like, a lot of friends who, you know, turned me on to metal, and I, you know, sort of, not overnight, but pretty quickly turned into a metalhead. And I was the only one of those people who was not a musician, you know. It was always, like, musicians who were, like, playing me stuff. And I kind of came to realize that, you know, there's probably, like, literally a million people who are just like me, like, people who hung out with metal musicians and got exposed to it and loved it. And so this is, like, my way of, like, you know, giving back to the musicians and to, like, the other fans like myself. But it also, because of the meaning of the name, it's like, in a way, it's like we're this brotherhood, and we're friends, and we're brothers, and we're, you know, and of course we have our sisters in the metal community, and kind of like, you know, presenting people with, you know, the best that I can personally produce. And hopefully, you know, people will enjoy. And so I'm kind of like, you know, this friend who is giving back, and at the same time, you know, my name can be applied to, like, everyone, you know, like everyone who's a metalhead, who showed a non-metalhead person metal, and, like, we fell in love with it, and they embraced it, and they became metalheads, you know. And so that's kind of, you know, so it's not just that I'm Nader Sadek. I think that you are Nader Sadek, and every metalhead, the real metalhead, is, in a way, Nader Sadek.
I like your outlook on that. I think that's actually really interesting. Actually,
yeah, I hope it's not, like, pompous or anything.
No, it makes a lot of sense, actually.
Cool.
And I guess, actually, another thing I'm thinking of is there anybody you'd like to just give a quick shout out to, yell at, say hi, Mom, or, you know, whatever?
Should I say, what did you want me to say?
I mean,
Wani and Metal Nation Radio?
Oh, yeah, I'll get that after. This is more like just maybe squeak out an endorsement deal or something here. Be like, yeah, what's up, ESP Guitars? You know,
yeah,
hey.
I mean, all I can say is, without the help of, you know, everyone I was able to bring together, you know, there was absolutely no way this would have been possible. And, you know, I thank everyone for their patience and their hard work. And I really hope that a lot of people will get to enjoy this record and everything else we have to offer in the future.
Right on. I mean, we definitely appreciate it. It was actually really awesome to talk to you and hear all these, like, all the madness that is behind the scenes and all the really cool details that we rarely get to see. So, again, just thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was awesome. Like, it's always fun to talk about projects and art and stuff, so it's always my pleasure, man.
All right, well, cheers.
Cheers, man. Thanks.